Before I ever invested $1 into anything, I was terrified and extremely confused, especially with investing into the share market. That is really not intuitive for beginners at all. Now that I've been investing consistently for a number of years, the process is much less stressful, if not stress-free, and much more enjoyable. And that's the way that it really should be for anyone who wants to build their wealth by investing. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reese, and in today's video, I thought that it would be worthwhile to break down the investing process for beginners, especially for anyone who is hesitating a little bit to pull the trigger to begin investing for their future. The first thing that you absolutely need to get fixed into your head before ever committing your money towards investing is that you need to understand that it is never too late to begin investing. And the second thing that you need to get fixed into your head is that if you have time on your side and you are not going to need this money for the foreseeable future, no matter what happens, you should not be caring about what the market is doing. Because as far as you are concerned, you are sticking to an investment strategy that you are hoping is going to pay off over the course of decades. I suggest you keep both of those points at the back of your mind throughout today's video. From here, we're going to go through the basics of what it's going to look like when you're going to invest into the share market, and I'll briefly touch on cryptocurrency towards the end of this video. So with that being said, let's start with the share market. Now, I would not classify investing into the share market a simple process. Depending on the platform you choose to invest with, there will be a number of steps or a series of steps which must be completed in order and correctly before being able to convert your hard-earned money into actual shares of a company or a fund, depending on which you decide to go with. Which leads me into the very first step, being you're going to do some research into what platform you are going to choose to invest your money with. This will allow you to buy, sell, and swap shares on that platform for the number of years that you stay with them. And just as a suggestion, some platforms which are popular within Australia but are not limited to include Raise, Self-Wealth, ShareSite, and what I personally use, CommSec. I've actually made a video discussing my own personal experience and process using CommSec, and I've linked the video down in the description below. I think it is pretty useful, especially if you are someone who is a beginner and coming to CommSec for the first time. I highly encourage you to watch that video. I think it's pretty informative. And while I've got your attention, if you could quickly tap that like and subscribe button down below, it really does help the channel grow, and I absolutely do appreciate the support. Okay, great. You've paused the video, you've gone away, you've done some research, and you've now decided what platform you would like to use to invest with. From here, go ahead, make an account, sign up, and get that account active. The simplest way is to follow the process through those websites or apps. Generally, they are pretty straightforward. They have a very easy way to set up. It generally doesn't take too long. Make sure you go ahead and do that. Once you have an active account, now we are going to decide what you want to invest in and how much you're going to invest. For me personally, and this definitely won't align with everyone, but just for context, at this point in my life, at the age of 27, earning just over a six-figure salary, I am choosing to invest about $5,000 a year into the share market every single year consistently, and that number will adjust as my income goes up or comes down, but that number that I've come to is the number that I am comfortable investing with the option or potential for it to turn into nothing or skyrocket. I'm comfortable losing that money, and that's how I've come to that number, basically by figuring out a rough percentage of my earnings that I'm willing to lose. And this number allows me to be consistent even with new bills and expenses coming into play. Like for example, if I were to have a child, that would be a new expense, which is going to cost a lot of money. That's something that will potentially happen in the future, but I should still be able to stick to that $5,000 per year investment strategy without it affecting my everyday life too much. I suggest finding a number that you're comfortable with and committing to investing that much at a bare minimum every single year, as long as you're able to commit that number for the foreseeable future. Okay, now we start to get into the more juicy stuff and the more pull the trigger, get excited stuff. This is where we're going to decide what we're actually going to be investing in. I want to be straight up with you, and it is that there is no guaranteed answer. There is no secret sauce. There is nothing that is going to tell you which company to invest your hard-earned money into and is going to guarantee you a return. In my opinion, it is very difficult to be a very good investor, and this is where most of the risk comes into play. If you're someone who is planning to choose investing into very specific companies, there is a lot of risk with doing this. I personally choose to invest my money into ETFs, which are essentially funds that try to track the market as a whole. Their entire business model is to buy the market regularly and not deviate away from that process. The two ETFs on the Australian share market that I personally invest into directly are VAS and VDHG. Just quickly, as a brief bit of background, VAS expands into Vanguard Australian Shares Index ETF, and their model for this fund is to basically track the top 300 performing companies within Australia at any given time. VDHG expands into Vanguard Diversified High Growth Index ETF, and they are more focused on being aggressive and investing into multiple asset classes chasing high growth. Personally, I do not believe I have the knowledge or the time to specifically track individual stocks or companies. It's not something that I believe I am capable of doing effectively. So instead, I choose to invest more passively and consistently into basically everything. I'm drip feeding my money into everything, and as long as the market goes up over time, I'm playing it pretty safe. I am going to make money just like the market has done so for the past century. Okay, setting that background that I've just provided aside, let's go back to our steps. Once you've decided what you're going to be investing into, now is the time to actually make some purchases. You will likely be required to put money onto the platform you're choosing to invest in, and that can be done in many different ways. The way I personally choose to put money onto my account before I buy shares is to just do a bank transfer from my bank account directly to that platform. And it will be clearly marked on the website or app you're choosing to use where you can deposit those funds. Once you then have the money on the platform, you'll be able to start making purchases. So what you need to do is fill out the prompts, generally starting by searching the ticket number or the ID. In my case, VAS and VDHG will find what I'm specifically looking for those types of funds. You will need to search what that is online. You can just type in the company name you're thinking about investing in or do your research on those platforms. Those statistics will be available on pretty much any type of investing platform you're sitting on. And just as an example, if it were me wanting to invest into VAS, what I would do is through the app, I would find that ticket, I would put in the number of shares that I want to buy in that fund, or I would specify the amount of money I am wanting to invest into that fund. There's no right or wrong here, it's just different ways of doing it. All of these platforms will give you different options on how to specifically do that. But from this point, I will need to be very careful to make sure what I'm putting in is correct, accurate, and exactly what I want to do. Make sure you double check the numbers. Make sure you double check what you are reading. Make sure you double check what you are putting in, and make sure you double check your double check. If you get this wrong, it could potentially cost you. You need to understand that when you're going to make decisions like this, even if you're investing small amounts of money, there are fees involved and you don't want to be caught out. Check account numbers, check how much you're investing, check that your account has the correct amount of money in it, check everything. And then once you've submitted your purchase, you should see a number of shares appear in your portfolio being tracked through that platform. And from here, there will be a number of stats and information that will be presented to you at any given time that you log in to track how your investment is going. From there, if you choose to invest more, those numbers will fluctuate. If you sell some, those numbers will fluctuate, and that will all be recorded in through the app. And you're done. Congratulations, you have just invested your money. That is generally a path or timeline of how you would go about investing from scratch. It's pretty straightforward in terms of the doing components, and there's a bit of a learning curve on how to use each platform individually, which there is lots of resources available online and through those platforms themselves that will explain everything step by step. I highly encourage you to absorb that information, especially considering if you are using your own money to invest in these platforms, you want to understand what you're doing. Investing in cryptocurrency now is slightly different. It's not the same process overall, but it is similar by nature. And I have made an in-depth guide, a video that explains it step by step. It's something that I watched back before writing this video out because I wanted to make sure it was still appropriate, and it is a fantastic watch in my own opinion. If you're someone who is learning how to buy crypto or wanting to learn how to buy crypto and invest your money, I highly recommend going away and watching it. I have linked it down in the description below. But there are a few things I just wanted to touch on in this video regarding what I have learned from investing into cryptocurrency over the past 8 years. I really only have one rule when investing into crypto. I have lots of rules, but one main rule, and that is do not invest into shitcoins. And that is a very biased statement, sure, but generally do not invest into shitcoins or meme coins. It's something that I just steer clear from. It's something that lots of people around the world have been burned from doing. The cryptocurrencies that I'm specifically choosing to invest in are long-term holds. These are projects that are under development and probably going to be under development for a really long period of time. They are trying to solve complex problems that definitely are real and relevant to this world, and things that I definitely do believe in and believe they will eventually, but patience is a virtue there, because there's no guarantee that they ever will go up in value. There's no guarantee that they will skyrocket and make me bank, but they are my best bet, especially considering the market is so volatile. And to be honest, I don't really have time to worry about cryptocurrency in the short term. I am investing for the long term. As an example, I turned $20,000 into almost $500,000 in the span of 12 months. And when it came crashing back down, I haven't panicked whatsoever, because again, this is a long-term hold. If it has done it once, it definitely can do it again, and it most likely will do it again based on previous events. It's something I'm not all that concerned about. Like I said, patience with cryptocurrency is a virtue. I have definitely acclimatized myself to these dips, and it's something I highly encourage you to do as well, especially if you're not as risk adverse as you think you may be. To wrap today's video up, in my honest opinion, investing is something that everyone should do in some form or another throughout their lives and consistently forever. Consistency will play a massive part in building your wealth and your portfolio over the years, and it's something that will come with a lot of other lessons that need to be learned, like the former that I just mentioned, being a little bit more resistant to market crashes and dips as well. It happens a lot. It's going to happen a lot. There's lots of world events that are going to cause them over the next however many decades we live before nuclear war takes over. So I highly encourage you to try your best to get into this headspace that this is something I'm going to do for the long term and actually stick to it. And finally, remember, you are investing at your own risk. You are never guaranteed to make money, and you should only invest what you are willing to lose. They are the fundamental rules of investing that should keep you sane on your investment journey. And with that being said, that's all I really have for you today. I hope that it was insightful, I hope it was useful, and I hope that the tutorial in simple terms broke down the process, especially if you're someone who hasn't started their investing journey yet. With that being said, I will leave you there. Have a good day, have a good week after you've subscribed and liked the video, because that's the most important thing out of this video, is that you definitely come back for some more content, and I'll leave you there. Have a good day, have a good week, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.